Okay, so the Cardinals versus the Cubs. What you're telling me is that there is a like um historical rivalry that is even older than the Cubs versus the White Sox, right?
Let me check.
I think it is. Cause
I'm
like what?
no, go ahead.
Cause like I think the White Sox were founded later, and
Uh,
but,
White Sox came around in 1901,
and when were you guys around?
1892.
And when were the Cubs around?
1876.
Yeah, the Cubs I already knew were older than the White Sox. So why can't I root for them?
Because I would feel betrayed.
I mean, you know, just like you said, you don't really care about football, but you still feel good when the team you're rooting for scores, right? Because you felt good. So, and the same way, I never really watched a baseball game from start to finish because I couldn't, except for the footage you gave me. We don't have baseball here, even though apparently baseball started from us. It's not really a popular sport over here at all. We don't have baseball teams, a baseball league, anything.
Weird.
Yeah, I don't think Europe has baseball. I, if they do, it's
Cricket.
no, that's something completely different. That's something absolutely different. And
That's
it's not really that played outside of the UK in Europe. It's mostly played in the UK, then you have countries like India, Pakistan, countries from there, right? Maybe Australia as well, but not in Europe. So cricket is more like an English thing. So the countries who were under England are most likely to have cricket as a pastime sport. But no, no baseball in Europe. And I still wanna, cause you know, from what you told me, they have. First of all, I don't believe in curses and wanna go out of my way to prove that they don't exist. So that's one reason I want them to win after the goat thing, to prove that the there's no such thing as a curse.
I,
Secondly,
I don't believe in, like I told you, I don't believe in that stupid curse either. It's like, since when do billy goats have all kinds of magical powers that curse baseball teams? No. It's like the Cubs just, management has a it's like history of just being cheap and not being able to, not affording good players and just bad mismanagement mistakes, and that's what caused them to suck so much.
first off, you always use the goat argument against me when I try
I was
to.
joking.
And secondly, that's what I want to prove, that they can still win after the goat incident. So I just need one cup for them. That's all.
Well, it ain't gonna happen.
Maybe it will. I mean, look, just as you said, they have a history of being cheap. They weren't cheap this year. They actually, s- you know, took their time to create a good team.
Yeah,
Um,
let's see how long it takes them to screw it up.
sure, I'll be rooting for them and I'll follow
Dill,
them closely and
Dill,
we'll see just how they screw it up or not.
Dill. What the hell, man?
What
After
the?
all I've been through, this is how you repay me?
Really? I mean, you just told me you don't care about football, so uh,
I still have fun with it. I mean, it
exactly, and I have fun with it too. That's
but
the
Dell,
point.
it doesn't Dell, we don't get soccer over here. At least the European games. It's like I can't help it.
Yeah, well, I can't see baseball over here either, but I still can root for some. I don't see hockey over here either, because I'm fast asleep when they play their games, all right?
It's
So
but you don't ask your best friend to get you into baseball, teach you how it works, and then say, "Oh, you know what? What team do you root for? Oh, this one. Oh, okay, I'm gonna root for your biggest rival." Haha.
that's
What the
not the
hell?
point. The point is, I felt sorry for them because you said you guys always win and they
No,
never win.
no, we
And
don't. Dell, I told you the Cubs have more wins over the Cardinals.
that's not the point. The point
Yes,
is the
it
number
is.
of. No, that's not the point. The point is the number of cups you guys have, all right? You have like all the cups, and they
No,
have only 2 cups back in before the GOAT, all right? I just need them to win once because they have a very loyal fan base that sticks with them through thick and thin.
well, there you go. If the fan base sticks with them through thick and thin, do they really need to win?
Well, you want them to make their fans happy, right?
Their fans seem like they're already happy because if they weren't happy, they wouldn't be cheering for them.
No, that's not how it works. That's loyalty.
That is how it works.
No, it's not. That's
The
loyalty. Being
the
loyal.
Cubs the Cubs have the best record right now this season in terms of the National League. They're
That
doing
doesn't
just
mean anything if they don't win.
it does because up here in Chicago, the fans are biased to say, well, yeah, we haven't won the World Series in like over 100 years, but we have the best record and we have the best win record in baseball that has yet to be beat. So yeah, in your face, every other team, which is
Well,
true. They do have that record. So
good.
isn't
Let
that
them
good enough?
let them win once and then
No, they already won twice. They don't need to win anymore.
they need to win once after the GOAT. I just told you.
No, they don't.
Yes,
Okay, if you
they
don't
do.
believe in curses, why you let that bother you so much?
Because I wanna have every opportunity I can to prove there are no such things as curses.
There is.
As long as they never win, that fucking asshole, the one with the goat, fucking won. And
Yeah,
they need one victory to show his ass. Cause he's
his
probably,
ass is dead.
yeah, but he's probably up there in heaven just looking over this and fucking laughing his ass off because, um, after he said what he said with his fucking goat and all, I hope that goat died, like in fucking agony and stuff.
Oh my
Um,
god.
I'm joking.
I hope
Um,
you are.
yeah, I would never hurt an animal, you know that. But
Yes.
the point is, they need to win once to show that fucker.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
They have.
This is my opinion. And you're not gonna change my opinion like
You're
I didn't
breaking
change
my.
your opinion on Powerpuff Girls, Batman,
Oh, don't
and
go there. Don't go there,
I'm
Mister.
just telling you, some opinions cannot be changed.
You're breaking my heart. I
I'm
got you
breaking
into
my come
baseball.
on. I
You're.
can't even watch the games with you.
I
And
showed you
you
the
seem to have
highlight.
no problem with me rooting for a completely different team in hockey, which by the way you got into this year.
Well, hold on. That's something I can't help because you were a fan of them since childhood. Once something has your childhood by the balls, it sticks with you. But I went out of my way to explain how baseball works to you, tell you what the team I root for is, and you go and do something like this. The hell, man.
You just said, let me read you just what you said a few lines ago. Huh? You said this. Um, if one sport we like, I think you mean if in one sport we like we have two different teams we support, that should be fun. Well, there you go.
Dale, this is different. The jerseys are no threat to the Blues. So,
Oh, we are vastly inferior to you guys, are we now?
no, I just mean that the Blues, they're not really that big of a rivalry to they're not big of a rival to us because they're so far across the states. The
First off,
Cubs,
they're Eastern and you guys are Western Conference, so
yeah, it's like, I mean, I'd probably have a problem if you were rooting for the Blackhawks, but whatever. Anyway, but the Cardinals and the Cubs are like big rivals,
yeah.
and
And
this
we can prove to anyone that we can still be friends even if we support rivals.
hey, it's different with me and Lauren's family because they live in Chicago, so that's understandable.
They're Cub fans. They're Cubs fans.
They're Cub fans, White Sox fans, Bears fans, Blackhawks fans, and yeah.
Wait, they root for both the Cubs and the White Sox? That doesn't make any sense.
Well,
They are,
here's how Lauren's dad explained it to me. He's like, just what? Why can't I? Since when is the rule of baseball? If I or the rule of any sport, if I root for one team from one city, I can't root for the other team from the same city. It's like, well, if I just like the city in general, then I'll root for both teams. I'm like,
so he
and
does like the city.
well, kinda, yeah.
There you go. It's a great city.
Just because Lauren's dad likes it doesn't mean it's great.
It does mean it's great. It means it can be liked. It
Dell,
means some people find beauty in this city.
Dell, he lives up here. Of
Yeah,
course.
so do
He
you.
not yeah, but this wasn't where I was raised.
Maybe it wasn't where he was raised either.
I don't know that
Do you know
sure.
for a fact that he was born there?
I don't know. We haven't known each other long enough for
Who
us to
does
get
who does Laura? By the way, you did mention her name and I'm recording this, so
that's fine.
who does she root for?
She doesn't root for any sports team.
Well, that kind of sucks because if she was into the Cubs, then I wouldn't have a reason to be into the Cubs as well. But if she
Why?
doesn't, then I kind of have to because
Why?
because the Cubs
To
need
get under my skin?
no, I told you. It's just until they win once, then the curse is
Well,
broken.
Dale, I don't want us to be feuding with each other for the rest of our lives because
We're
the Cubs,
not.
while we're still alive.
Yeah, we're not feuding with no one. We're good friends who just happen to support rival teams. Like my
Dale,
brother and I, by the way.
okay, your brother, yes. Let me guess, you two root for rival football teams.
Yeah,
Well, okay, I've known you for 9 years. We've been
and
through a
I've
lot of
known
stuff.
my brother for my entire life. What's your point?
Dale, I've told you a lot of things that I didn't even I haven't even told anybody else yet because I trust you. It's like you ask me to get you into baseball, and I get you into it, and you repay me by rooting for the biggest rivals of my favorite team.
And why does that bother you?
How do you sleep at night? It's
Really? It's just sport, guy. It's not even as important as a
yes,
movie.
but sports are my escape from all the pain and suffering I felt since living up in Chicago.
No, it's not. Animation is, guy. You told me time and again that you don't even follow sport. I've asked you for years to name me, I don't know, some sport you are in, and you are always, always, always like, oh, I'm not into sport. This is why I was really shocked when you told me you were into baseball, because I really wanted someone to explain to me um how it works, because I was kind of fascinated about it, you
Well,
know?
I apologize for that because I I just had a bad experience with sports in my childhood that it made me dislike them from
What?
my early years.
What
Because
what sport? What sport in
my
particular?
well, I took my frustration out on sports in general because my dad tried to get me into my both my parents tried to get me into basketball, and I had a very miserable experience with it. And even after I told them I don't want to be in it, they still forced me to be in it. So I just had a bad perception of it. I got mad, frustrated, and I took my anger out on all sports. And it's like, and so I went through a period where I just didn't like them because it reminded me of how bad of an experience I had with basketball.
And is that fair? I mean, you're busting my balls for rooting for a team, something as simple as rooting for a team, yet it was okay for you to disown all sports just because some bullshit you had as a kid. I don't know, that's.
Like I said, when something bad happens to you in your childhood, it sticks with you, so your subconscious takes over at that point.
And when something good happens to you, shouldn't it be the same?
Pretty much.
So that there you go. I'm waiting for something good to happen to the Cubs,
Oh my
meaning for
God,
them to
Dale,
win.
you probably didn't even know they were a team until I told you about them.
I know all the teams in the US and Canada. Don't go there. I know everything.
Yeah, but you didn't know what they were about.
Yes, I knew.
Oh, sure you did. It's like you could have looked up any rules on baseball online, but no, you asked me to
Yeah,
tell you.
I never actually actively searched for the rules. I It was easier to ask you.
Yeah, and I got really excited because explaining the rules to you reminded me how much I loved baseball, and so I got back into it recently.
Cool. Oh, how recent?
Um, like I don't know when did you tell me the rules? When did I tell you the rules back
I
then?
think January, no, February, maybe even March. I think March.
Yeah,
You got back into baseball in March, yet you say you're such a big Cardinals fan that you won't even let me root for the Cubs. Are you out of your mind?
still, the I have really the Cardinals are a big part of my childhood. I
So big a part that you don't even root for them until I mention baseball. And
still
then,
I was
oh, by the way, you cannot root for
hey,
the.
let me specify. In one way or another, I've always been rooting for them. I just wasn't actively following them until recently
So then why does it bother you if I'm rooting for another team?
because that team's from Chicago.
And what's your beef with Okay, no, I'm not
Yeah,
going there.
we've been over this. It's been nothing, or okay, I shouldn't say nothing. It's been a really negative experience for me, and while some good things have happened,
Because of two guys.
something bad happened recently that I told you about that I don't want to make public because it's personal. But so it's just having sports teams to cheer for to beat the Chicago teams just makes me feel better and helps me deal with all the negative stuff.
All right, fine. If I don't root for the Cubs, the only way I'm not gonna root for the Cubs is if you don't make a big deal out of them winning this year.
Aha, very funny. What? What do you mean? Make a big deal of them winning this year?
Because they have a big chance of winning this year as compared to other years. And if they do, I don't want
This
to hear it,
first
alright?
time,
So,
this is the first time they've been in that position. I
exactly.
showed you, I
So,
showed you the 2003 uh, game where it was all
speak,
downhill after that guy caught the ball in the crowd.
right. Speaking of which, um, let's go back to the Blues. How much I told you the game tonight is crucial. If they lose, it's pretty much
Don't
okay.
say it's
In a
over.
nutshell, you really have to root for them tonight. I mean, they really gotta win if they are to remain in this competition.
They are. They're gonna win. They can beat the Blackhawks and they can beat the Stars. They can beat the Sharks.
I don't know. The results from the last few matches say differently. I
Well,
mean,
our goaltender Brian Elliott didn't have his best game. The poor guy has been playing every playoff game since the Blues since the playoffs started. He needs a break. It's been really hard for him, and it was probably a bad idea for our coach Ken Hitchcock to have him start this series. After going through two of the most dominant teams, the Stars and the Blackhawks, poor Brian needs a break, and I think Jake Allen is going to relieve him, and Jake Allen is going to be fresh legs, and he's going to be able to prevent the Sharks from getting any goals.
hmm
Because Jake Allen actually has a record as a Blues goalie. He went four straight shutouts in a row during the regular season.
hmm
I'm serious. Look it up.
No, by the way, I wanted to ask you, in American sports, I mean in sports popular in the US, is it, um, in general, do the teams with the biggest budgets win? With the most, um, with the best players and everything. Does that mean they'll win?
Not necessarily because it's like keep watching sports games recently. Now with an adult mind, I do know anything can happen. It
Right.
doesn't matter how good you are or how
Because
much money.
in the UK and the Premier League, um, Leicester won the championship, and Leicester is a team that has absolute. It's the smallest team probably. It was a shock to the entire continent that Leicester won against teams like Manchester United, Manchester City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Tottenham, who finished second, and it took everyone by surprise. They're really euphoric right now, and if they can do it, pretty much anyone can do it in
That's
any sport, I think,
exactly.
except for basketball, because that's a sport that's all about the best guys winning. You can't do anything there.
the The NBA is so corrupted that even if St. Louis had an NBA team, I wouldn't root for them. It's like the NBA is so corrupted that where it makes all the it fixes the game so the most popular teams win. It's like the NBA thrives off of bandwagon money.
I'm still interested to see who's gonna occupy the dome now that the Rams are away.
Guess we'll have to wait and see.
Because that's a five-star stadium that currently has no owner. That's a shame.
Yeah,
I mean, you need some sort of a franchise to come there.
even
And
if yeah, and even if St. Louis gets a football team, I'll be like, well, I ain't root for them because football is boring.
what if the Cardinals come back?
That ain't happening. I'm sure they're pretty happy in Arizona.
Right.
And it's like, I will give soccer this. I know I said I don't care for it. Well, I really haven't had the chance to watch a game from start to finish. But I will say that from what I saw, that it is more exciting than American football.
Well, the thing about American football is that the action lasts for 30 seconds and then it comes to a stop, it comes to a halt.
Yeah,
Then they discuss some strategy. Another action starts for lasts for 30 seconds. It stops,
yeah.
and You have no, I mean, compared to rugby. Rugby is out of this world. Rugby is so dynamic. You wouldn't even believe. I mean, I don't know. You probably haven't watched rugby, right?
I know about it.
I know you know about it, everyone, but you haven't watched it, right?
No.
Right. So, yeah, that's the thing, because we're pretty good at rugby. We're one of the few teams who participated in absolute all World Cups. Back in the day, we were so strong that we even beat France, which is unheard of nowadays. Um, I think we almost beat New Zealand, the All Blacks, who are the supreme. They are the bosses, all right? The when it comes to rugby.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it's much more dynamic to my tastes. Secondly, just look at what they wear. They wear absolutely nothing, no protection, nothing, because that's what kind of a sport rugby is. You don't need pussy equipment like fucking helmets and fucking chest pieces, and they're
Well,
fucking robots out there at American football. You
well,
don't?
there's a reason for that because there's been a surge in concussions and injuries, so they have to add all that extra protection to protect the players.
And thirdly, where did they come off naming the sport football when football already exists? What's that about?
America.
I mean, there are so many names you can come up with. Why football? Why if football exists? There is such a thing as football. You
Well,
don't name this is like me naming uh squash, um the sport, right? The thing with the never mind.
well, it's like they obviously had to call it football because even though most of the time the ball is being handled by your hand.
Yes. So what's the reason for calling it football? It's just like that guy from Monty Python pointed out. It's not even a ball. It's the wrong shape for a ball. It should be called hand egg.
Like anyone would take a sport called hand egg seriously.
Yeah, like anyone would take a sport called soccer seriously.
Well, I'll call it football from now on for your sake,
No, that's
because
not the point. I mean, I know, I get it why they call it soccer, 'cause association football, right? But it sounds dangerously close to sucker.
it's
It does. I mean, I I do have no problem with the name really, but just the because I have no problem calling it soccer. I I know a few guys who would get pissed off if I did that, and I do see their point because they grew up with the sport being called football. Secondly, um, apparently you guys can't even be consistent with that because you have a team called FC Dallas. FC stands for football club.
well, Americans don't care for soccer or football anyway, so it's like nobody would notice. Like I said, I had no idea the Chicago Fire existed until you mentioned them. I don't
Right,
even.
I told you I know all the teams, and this is a team called FC Dallas. But you see, they don't explain what the FC stands for because I bet they don't even know what FC stands for over here.
It's,
They just called it FC Dallas because it sounds like a European team. Do you notice? They Many of the teams in the MLS, which is the Major League Soccer, have names that remind you of European teams, like um, Let me tell you, you have DC United, which is from Washington DC, and that United thing is many of the UK football teams are called with United. You have Manchester United, you have Leeds United, you have. So these guys are now DC United. You have New York City FC. FC is football club. FC Dallas. FC again is football club. You have Real Salt Lake, which logically would actually be pronounced Real Salt Lake because it wants to sound like Real Madrid, and Real in Spanish means royal because it was the royal team. Spain is still a mm, monarchy. They have a king, right? So they have a team called Real Madrid, and these guys have a team called Real Salt Lake, but they most likely call it Real Salt Lake, which makes no sense. Is there a fake Salt Lake? You have Sporting Kansas City, which sounds like Sporting Lisbon. Um, let's see, you have Dynamo Houston, which sounds like all the Dynamo teams in Europe, which, by the way, was a communist name. So you have Dynamo teams in only the countries which were communist countries because it was started by Dynamo Moscow. And it was like, anyway, my point is that for many of these teams, they chose names without really thinking of them. Um, I was also gonna say Toronto FC, but I don't know if Canada calls it football or soccer, so I can't really. We still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
All right.
I, I was just letting you talk.
Yeah, so that's pretty much my. You have all of these FC teams. Let's see how many are them. Two, four. You have four, five FC teams, and another three future FC teams in a in a sport that doesn't start with F, it starts with S. You have one SC team, Orlando. I guess the Orlando has the brains in the US or something because they've kind of figured it out. But yeah, I mean it's funny. It's absolutely funny for me. I'm having loads of fun with this. I don't bash anyone for anything. I'm just saying.
I know. I know.
Yeah,
So,
Chicago Fire, I'm rooting for them. I hope you don't have a problem with that.
well,
They don't win anything anyway, so
Chicago doesn't care for football anyway, so.
I think the whole country doesn't care for football, except when it's the World Cup. Then all the people come out in the streets and root for someone who they normally don't even care for.
uh,
But
when does the World Cup usually, like, what month or does it usually start?
well, first off, it's once every 4 years.
Once every 4 years, okay.
Yeah, and once every 4 years there's the Euro, which is the same thing but only in Europe, but it's kind of interplaced. You have so think of it this way: you have the World Cup once every 4 years, and then between them, in the second year, you have the Euro. So let's say you have the World Cup 2000, Euro 2002, World Cup 2004, Euro 2006, and so on. You see what I mean? So we have action every 2 years because it's kind of like the World Cup, but on a smaller scale. It's still super exciting, especially now that we finally qualified for the Euro. We still didn't qualify for the World Cup, which is amazingly shameful on our part.
Uh-huh.
Um, back in 2014, I mean, I was in a box of online friends, and I was the only one whose country wasn't in the World Cup. It was pretty not
Aw.
cool. I mean, even the guy from Costa Rica was Costa Rica was in the World Cup, so and they played outstandingly. They were amazing. And this is what I mean. Whenever the World Cup comes around, Americans are overly excited to the point of, bashing any country that eliminates them. This time it was Belgium. So when Belgium eliminated them, all of them were like, "Oh, fuck Belgium, no," stuff like this. When, what did you expect? You guys are never gonna win the World Cup. Deal with it, because it's just the most important sports competition in the world that's never gonna be won by America. I find that hilarious.
Well, wear that with pride that you're gonna constantly beat Americans at real football.
Yeah, the last time we played, we beat you guys like 1-0, and it was in 1994 when the World Cup actually was held in the US. So we beat you at home. So sorry about that. But that was our golden year. We made it to the quarterfinals. We could have beaten Brazil that year, all right? And I mean tough Brazil, not last year's Brazil who lost 7-1 to Germany. Uh, it was the Brazil who won the World Cup because Brazil won the World Cup that year. Um,
Oh, you said 1994, right?
yeah,
Wow, that was actually when the uh, Major League Baseball didn't have a season because all the players were on strike.
wait, really? Why? Why?
uh, just you, all sports strikes. It's like always salary disputes or safety disputes or whatever. So yeah,
When was the hockey strike? What year?
I believe that was 2005,
Mm.
the NHL lockout.
I don't know what it's like to be
2004.
I mean on the side for a year. I mean, if you're a fan of a sport and it doesn't play at all that year, it's kind of
Well,
interesting. Secondly, it's like not having a job for a year for everyone involved.
well, I it's like I will say like for the lockouts I heard of, though I don't hear. Obviously, it's hard to tell what actually goes on behind the scenes, but generally, it's probably the players just trying to um, get just to show up the the corrupt people who run the organizations, and the players just want to be treated fairly or stuff like that, and then or it's just the players being greedy sons of guns like the NBA lockout was last year. No, not last year, a couple of years ago.
Really? There was an NBA lockout. I haven't heard of that. You'll have a you'll be surprised to know that there are some people at my office who are NFL fans and they actively follow the NFL teams.
Are they from America or?
No, no, they're Romanians.
Oh, wow, good for them.
Yeah. I mean,
What?
I hear them every morning discussing statistics and teams and whatever, especially around the Super Bowl
Yeah,
this February.
that's the only time I watch the football is to for the Super Bowl, and not even for the game, just for the commercials.
Oh, I would watch it for the halftime shows because they have like the best bands playing.
Not recently because they've been having a lot of newer talent or
Pussy
talent.
bands, huh? They've been having the pussy bands over, and
Yeah,
they've
they haven't
been
had a new. They haven't had an old act since
Tom Petty.
Tom Petty.
Wait,
Wait,
I think they had some since then because
I
they
remember.
had the Red Hot Chili Peppers, but they were just
They were over. They only play one
They
song.
only
They
played
were
one
over.
song because the main act was Bruno Mars.
Yeah, and he played again this year. It's like, you think that's enough, Bruno Mars? What the hell?
When are the Nine Inch Nails playing? That's what I want to know.
Never. They're t- they're too freaky for the general public. It's like, no, Marilyn Manson. That'd be great.
Nine Inch Nails is one guy. I mean, I don't know if you know this, but Trent Reznor is in the studio. He plays every instrument and produces it. So it's not a band, it's just a band on stage.
Then why is
And
he called? Then why is he called Nine Inch
because
Nails?
he wanted to, like, for the same reason Gorillaz album aren't called Damon Albarn albums. He probably just wanted to have a cool sounding band name, even if it was just one guy. I mean, you can look it up. He plays everything and
Wow,
sings and composes the songs, writes the songs, produces the albums. It's basically a one-man thing.
wow,
Yeah.
cool.
He's
I
just a
appreciate.
band. He's just a band on stage because on stage it would be impossible for him to play everything.
Obviously.
So he kind of needs some tour members, touring
Because
members,
oh,
touring
I have a
band
question when it
members.
comes to music production. I know you'd know this.
Mm,
Um, Whenever bands are recording songs
mm.
in the studio, do they record like everything like together all at once, or do they sing the vocals first, or no? Do they perform the music first and then later?
It's not a general thing. It's mainly however they want. I mean, I know a band whose albums were was recorded from start to finish in 48 hours.
Wow.
Um, and not, I mean, in 2 days, you know. Um, and not 8 hours today, 8 hours next day, and so on for the entire week. No, 2 days. Um, Secondly, it's if you have a good editor, you can just play. Because let me tell you in this way: if you have like one guitarist, right?
Right.
One guy playing the lead guitar, and you want to have uh, more guitar sounds like rhythm and lead guitar, you're obviously not gonna be able to do that in one take because that guy can't play two guitars at the same time. So you'll need to first record the uh, bass of the song, and then at a later stage you need to um, add in the lead guitar part over what you already recorded. Same with the voice. If you wanna have like if you wanna play along with the band, you're obviously free to do that. But bands like U2, for example, record the song first and then Bono adds the vocals in a separate, by himself. I mean,
Uh-huh.
a good example of this is, as I mentioned, Nine Inch Nails and also Mike Oldfield. So any band which is just a one-man thing has to record everything separately. What I would do if if I had like a one-man band is I would first off I would have a drum machine with a certain tempo so I can keep the rhythm. And I would play the bass with of the song, meaning either rhythm guitar or bass guitar. So I would start with that. Then I would build up on that with all the instruments gradually and the voice, and then at the end I would take out the drum machine and actually play drums. So everything is done with manual instruments, nothing electronic.
Yeah, because you told me like back in the day, the drummer was his main goal was to keep the rhythm of the song going.
Yeah, before Keith Moon kind of brought drums way forwards. I mean, made it an integral part of because back in the Elvis days, you wouldn't even hear the drum on the recording. It was just there for more like for the players to know not to lose rhythm.
Right.
So,
In hockey, their science just.
whoa, what was that?
Whoa.
Sorry, a video started playing at random.
Well, I think that's about it for today.
Okay, well, I do apologize for my attitudes back in the day. Like, I did like sports
Yeah,
subconsciously.
stop
I just
apologizing for stuff, all right? Stop it. You're better than
What? What?
that. Now